never in the history of calm downs has anyone actually ever calmed down from being told to calm down.
I thought about that recently too. Yeah, it's
like,
the least helpful thing.
Someone's
to do.
difficult, like you're being difficult.
Yeah.
Like, whoa,
Yeah.
oh, that,
Yeah.
Like
Nobody responds to that.
Yeah, that's not going to be a helpful situation.
We are here because we know the outcomes in our lives are within our control. That taking absolute ownership of how we eat, sleep, train, think, and connect with each other is how we'll optimize our health and happiness. That chasing excellence is how we grab hold of what is possible. Our mission is to live on the run, always chasing, never stopping. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Chasing Excellence. How are you, sir?
I'm good.
Today we're going to dive back into a 3x3. 3x3 is when we take 3 ideas and we get your 3 hot takes on those ideas. So today we're going to do 3 numbers every gym owner should know, 3 ways to get organized, and 3 ways to deal with difficult people. Cool?
Love it.
Let's do the gym one first. So 3 numbers every gym owner should know.
Okay, so there's essentially like a qualitative and a quantitative aspect of running your business. One is the qualitative. The qualitative, like the quality of the service, quality of product. Very hard to put a number to it. We want to create strong relationships. Yeah. We want to be very customer centric. We want to have this certain feel and vibe in the gym.
The brand that we've talked about.
Culture, community, all that stuff. Yep. It's hard to put it's possible to put some numbers in that. If you're putting numbers to that, here's the deal is you want to make sure that they are leading indicators, not lagging indicators, which means, so a leading indicator, it means that it's going to drive towards what you're getting, not, because what you don't want to do is just like do historical analysis of like, this is what we did, this is what we did. What you want to do is start to get some projective things. I don't want to dive down too far into that role. But there's on the other side, there is the more quantitative. Yep. Every business. So forget about gym or anything else. Or every business should know 3 numbers. So these are kind of like the permission to play. Yeah. So after these 3, I'll give my real 3, which is total customers. It is your revenue and your profit. Like you just have to know those numbers. Do you have 200 members? Do you have 225 members? Do you have 85 members? You want to know if those are active members, not people on hold or canceled in the waitings and the wings. You really want to know that number. The next is revenue, which just simply, I think a lot of people know, just how much money you're taking in. Profit is a really interesting number that I think people in our space get wrong. They're not calculating true profit. Okay. So profit, 2 things. Profit is what's when you take revenue minus expenses, forget about like EBITDA and taxes and all that. But on a really baseline level, it is how much revenue minus expenses equals profit. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what a lot of gym owners will do is, okay, we made $200,000. My expenses were $150,000. That means we made $50,000. So $50,000 trickles down into their bank account. No, you haven't paid yourself yet. You need to put your owners, what is your worth as your role in the business. That's an expense. If your role in the business is worth $65,000, by that example, your business lost $15,000 that year. It's not what's left over. Here's the second side of profit, is just that. It's not the amount of money that's left over after expenses. It is telling you how much money you get to spend from your revenue. Profit should be set before the year, and it's going to be instructive and prescriptive for how much you're spending, not reactive in what's left. Interesting. So if you, in that same example, if you make $200,000 as a gym in revenue, and you want to say we want to be at 10% profit, that means that you get to spend $180,000 that year and no more. But you could be 25% profitable, or you could be 1% profitable. You could be flat. A lot of startup companies actually run red and they lose money every single year. It's something that you want to be intentional about and not just let happen. So in our business, the 2 major mistakes that people are doing is they're not taking the owner's salary. And I say owners, like the role you play in the business. If you're truly an owner, then it is what's left over afterwards. But most of us are not absentee owners. We play roles in the business. Yeah. If you are the head coach, if you are the gym manager, if you are the visionary, whatever, what is that worth to you in your business? You have to put that on the expenses line.
Before we continue, in that scenario, are they taking money out of the business, and that's an obvious expense, but then on top of it, they're not considering something else, or is it that they're not taking any money out of the business at all, and
For themselves or their salary?
Yeah,
Yeah. It's not even a line. It's not even a line item. What's happening is they're just $200,000 comes in.
Yep.
They spend, their expenses end up being $190,000, $10,000 left over. And they're like, wow, I made $10,000 this year.
Yep.
No, that's not great to be working
Right.
in our business 75 hours a week for
Right.
10 grand a year.
Right.
So instead is beforehand, figure out and pay yourself. Now, in some states, you can't. If you're an LLC, you can't take a salary, but you just line item it. If you physically, it has to be a pay through. It has to go right through. But still, from accounting perspectives, you need to know truly, is your business making money or not?
Got it.
If we get past that kind of like buy-in of members' revenue, I would go to the next level, which would be not just members, but what is your average daily attendance in twofold. First off, how many people are attending each class? You really want to know the class averages so you can start to figure some things out. A lot of people are adding more classes and more classes on when that's not going to solve any problems because you're so under capacity in your current classes. You're just exacerbating the same problem of paying your coaches, not getting enough members in. So you need to really know how many people are attending each class. It really will also pull to light some like staffing issues. Who's really good? Who could use some help? What are the peak times? When do we need more front desk help? When do we need more bodies in the gym from a team staff perspective? That's really eye-opening experience and really good numbers to watch change and morph as you bring new people on the team and so on. The next one would be staying with the membership is how many people are attending classes every day. So really, how are your customers using your business? What we should be shooting for in our industry is somewhere between 50 and 60%. If you have a 70% of your average, let's say you have 100 members, if you have 70 members walking through the door every single day, you're killing it. That's phenomenal.
Do you have the first number you said, the kind of the in-class percentage? Is that the same idea where you want, like, how do you know if, okay.
That's actually a hard absolute number. So it's like in the 5:30 a.m. class, is there 8 people?
Okay.
So
you just set it for yourself. You know what the right number is?
No, you want to track it because every gym is going to be different, right? So in our, we are a morning centric gym. So our morning classes are 20 plus, they average like between 20 and 26. Our evening classes are closer to, in the teens, like 15, 17, 18. What that means is we need to pay more attention to the evening classes. It's no surprise. I know the reason. I'm not here in the evenings. I go home at 5:35 every single day. So what you do is I need to focus on bringing greater leadership to those later classes. That's where our growth opportunity is. If you just try to smush more people into the morning classes, you're not solving a problem.
The quality actually might start to suffer.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The people in the evening have the same product or potentially worse, and the people in the morning class have a worse product. So you need to solve a problem, not just...
And that's what that tracking those numbers actually does. Got it.
Yep.
Okay, so in class and daily percentage use, right?
Yeah, so hard numbers for each class. Track that across time, and then how many people are actually showing up in total to the gym percentage-wise of your actual membership.
Got it.
And again, we should be shooting for 50, 55%, just to put that into perspective, a Globo gym shoots for like 10 to 15%. Right. They're hoping people don't come. Yeah. But our memberships are too expensive. People aren't showing. They're going to cancel. Maybe not next week, but certainly within the quarter.
Okay. Those two numbers, or do you consider that one number?
I consider that one number.
Okay.
Instead of just members, let's dive a little bit deeper. Next one is instead of revenue, let's figure out what is driving revenue. I say that most people are going to kind of lean towards marketing. I think of it differently. I think of it in terms of we're not having a problem getting people in the door. We're having a problem keeping people. People, it sounds strange. People know about the party. A lot of people are coming in the party and, sticking around for a beer or two. And then a lot of people are leaving because they don't feel like that this is their group of people. We need to get people to stay at the party longer. So you can measure that a whole bunch of different ways. The common words are like retention. Next, maybe not quite as common, is churn. Another way would be average lifetime value. You can measure, I don't care which one of those you measure, but you should be measuring one of those things. Retention is how many of your members are you holding month over month. I actually like churn. Churn to me is a lot more aggressive. If you have 100 members and you lose starting with, this is kind of the difference is. Retention, the problem with retention is if you have 100 members, 10 leave and 10 join, it looks like you have 100% retention. You didn't. Your churn rate tells a little bit better of a story. Your churn says if you have 100 members and 5 leave, because what number you start with at the beginning of the month, how many left during the month. Your churn rate is 5%. We want to bring our churn rate down below 10%. That's a really good kind of number for us. What we'll see is if you track this month to month, man, this is really cool and really eye-opening. You'll see where your major touch points are, your major crucial points. And you'll see that a lot of people are doing a really good job turning people from their Elements program into members. That conversion rate's really good. Their churn rate between those 2 months is really low. But then the first month, second month, and third month, the churn rate is drastically different. And what we see is, if this is most gyms, if you can hold people on for 4 or 5, 6 months, the churn gets lower and lower and lower. What we need to do then is find particularly where is the biggest drop-offs from month to month. This is your biggest opportunity. And you put an extra touch point or two right there. So if you find like, okay, people are sticking through the first month, they're kind of leaving after that second month. Okay, during the second month, you do a one-on-one session. You do a phone call to them. You make sure that 3 times in that week, you go and have a conversation with them after class. You comment on their social, like whatever you do to put metrics in place, put triggers in place to make sure that you're cutting that off at the source. And the last one is, again, profit, but understanding profit at a deeper level. It's not just that number. It's not a reactive. It's being proactive with it. So 3 numbers I would say, to kind of recap that, is membership, but take a dive. It's more about attendance per class, active use. It is revenue, but not necessarily just that top line number. It's the thing that's going to drive revenue more than anything else, which is retention, not getting more people through the door. Kind of a paradigm shift there. And the third one would be profit, but profit's not what's left after expenses. It's you deciding, do you want to grow the business? If you do, you're going to spend up to the limit. If you're not in growth mode, okay, then let's see what we can kind of get to drop to the bottom line after you pay yourself. Kind of perspectives there is anywhere between 20 and 30% would be really strong numbers for profit for gyms.
Got it. All right, moving on to the next one. 3 ways to get organized.
Okay. So I think that for getting organized, the biggest thing to do is to start with I'm going to put these in order a little bit. So start with the really high level, which is get it out of your head and onto something. Like create a list. And if you want to go like geek out in terms of like the Eisenhower matrix, is it urgent and important, all that stuff, like cool. But the biggest thing is like get it out of your head and put it on a physical thing that you can see. Whether it's a planner, whether it's a calendar, whether it's just literally on a sticky note, whether it's on a chalkboard or a whiteboard, is you got to, in order to get organized, whatever it is, you got to create the list. And that's organized, whether it's like the issues you're dealing with in your business, or I need to organize the kitchen, or I need to figure out how to get control of my kid's schedule, whatever it is. David
Allen, I think he's the author of one thing that he says that I love is that your head is good for having ideas, not for holding them. Or it's meant for having ideas and not for holding them.
That's great.
His whole getting things done is the idea of literally getting it out of your head and into a system. Beautiful. So that you don't have to, psychologically hold on to it forever.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
So from there, the next thing I would do is prioritize that list. And I'm going to kind of skip right to the third one, which is after you prioritize it, if as you're prioritizing it, you realize that any of these things, this is a David Allen thing, it's so funny you mentioned him. If it's going to take you less than 2 minutes, don't even worry about prioritizing it. The 2-minute rule. If it's going to take less than 2 minutes, don't even bother writing it down. Stop and just do it right then. It's gone. You're going to take more time. What people do is they spend more time filing it, thinking about it, putting it here. It's this like email thing, right?
That's it.
I'm not going to answer this right now. I'll put it in a folder
Yeah.
or I'll leave it in my inbox. And then you end up opening it 3 more times and it just clutters the whole deal.
I'm guilty of that often. Yeah,
So
I forgot about
email,
that.
if an email comes in and it's going to take you less than 2 minutes to respond, just do it now. It's gone it's gone. Same thing with like, if you're organizing your kitchen and you are about to do like, you're like, oh man, I really should. There's 4 dirty dishes in the sink. Should I do that first? Because prioritizing is really important.
Yep.
It is super important. You want to do the most meaningful things first. But there's this caveat of if it's going to take less than 2 minutes, just get them done. This is kind of like the way they say like to get out of debt. The way to get out of debt is to create a list of everything that you owe for every single thing. And then what they do is they don't go to prioritize. Don't take the biggest one. Don't find the one with the most amount of expenses, the biggest, highest interest rate. They literally say, find the one
You can kill.
that you can kill. Exactly. Get the one that you can pay off completely. And now it's off the shelf. You don't think about it anymore.
And you get that win.
And they get the win and they work from the bottom up.
Yeah.
Now, I think you can take this I think we should be working from, because if we, getting organized is a matter of like, getting all the cords and the wires out of the junk drawer and make sure that all the paper clips are lined up in order. Like, yeah, okay. That
sounds like something Heather does on the
I'm
weekend.
I'm not just pulling this out. Yeah, this is, that's cool. But is that going to move the needle as much as like figuring out your kids' driving schedule? Like that might be a little bit more important. So, you got to kind of prioritize and play this 2-minute drill back and forth on top of each other.
2-minute drill, I like that. Nice reference. All right, cool.
2-minute rule.
2-minute rule.
I default
2-minute drill too.
There we go.
Set a clock. All right, last one. 3 ways to deal with difficult people.
Yeah. First is it's a part of life.
Yeah.
It's like
the easy answer would be avoid them entirely.
Yeah, right. But that's not going to happen.
Yeah,
and then what people ends up happening is they think their expectations are that they're not going to have to deal with people. Yeah. So when when it comes up, they're shocked and they're frustrated.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
Like the first deal of this is like, dude, realize it's a part of the deal. Yeah. It's like you're not going to get along with everybody.
Yeah.
Other people are going to come with different sets of life stories, life experiences. You don't know what they just went through, which leads to kind of my first one, which is give people the benefit of the doubt and don't judge them.
Yeah.
You immediately go into this place of like, oh, this can be tough. Like, oh God, like when you immediately go there, you are switching into like defensive mode. You need to kind of realize Heather's the best I've ever seen about this. Like, the don't judging thing. She's so phenomenal. Like, you might see like, someone driving down the highway with a baby in a car seat on top of their car. She's like, oh, but you don't know what they're going through. It's like, Head, that's bad. It's like, you don't know. Like, you should never judge.
Yeah.
It's like,
I'm judging that one.
Yeah. Right. Yeah.
But yeah, I hear that. Yep.
She's like you see a parent yelling at a kid in a grocery store. Like, you don't know if you're catching them at that one, because we've all done it. We've all done it.
Yep.
It's just imagine of like, but immediately we go to like, oh my God, that poor kid, what a bad parent. Like, so that's the first one, is like, don't make that leap.
Yeah.
Don't judge. Instead, give people the benefit of the doubt. If you assume people are cheaters, dishonest, trying to scam you, they're more likely to do just that.
Yep.
If you assume people have your best interest at heart, they're trustworthy. This is kind of like psychology 101 type, even sociology. Just give people the benefit of the doubt. That'd be step 1.
Yeah.
Step 2 is what we've talked on the podcast before, dealing with difficult people, is tactful conflict resolution, which is a step-by-step system of how to deal with issues and problems and conflict.
Yeah.
If someone is being difficult, whatever that, you fill in the blank of what that means, the first thing to do is to distrust your natural gut reaction, which is to defend yourself.
Yeah.
It's this humanistic, hormonal thing, fight or flight. Someone's attacking, difficult. They're not going to be amicable. Now they're an enemy. Now you either need to fight them or run away. You need to distrust that. What you need to do is realize that that's going to happen. Try to pull back your hormonal response and create some space. And create this little gap, whether it's, Viktor Frankl, stimulus response, that gap between is your ability to have reasoned choice. What some people would be best at is someone attacked them. They go, okay, because they can't do it. They'd be like, I need 5 minutes. Yep. I need Can I talk to you about this tomorrow? And just like create the space.
Yeah.
That might be what you need to do. Now, I hope that we can move past that and we can get to this next one, which is after you distrust your natural gut reaction, you simply realize it's happening. And instead of defending yourself, you just sit there and listen. Mm-hmm. And that's not formulating your response. That's not waiting for your turn to talk. It's not trying to get into a debate, but listen to the person, giving them the benefit of the doubt, appealing to their nobler motive. And what you're trying to do is actually see it from their perspective. Yeah. You're actually trying to see like, okay, can I figure out why they're pissed off? Mm-hmm. Not like, what am I going to do? Like they're yelling. Like, can I figure out why this person's being so difficult? There's this idea of sympathy. And that's what a lot of people default to immediately with difficult people. Or sympathy is like, I feel so bad for you. Yeah. Like, don't try not to go there, because now you feeling bad for somebody doesn't help anything. There's this next thing, which is empathy, which is way, way past it, which is essentially like Brene Brown uses the analogy of the well. Like sympathy is like someone falls in a well, you look over the edge and go, oh, that sucks. Like, I feel so bad for you. It really must suck down there. That's what sympathy is. Yeah. Whereas compassion, empathy is you actually like going down in the well and sitting in the darkness with them. Yep. That's a lot more powerful. Some people just want that. Yep. There's a next level, which Brene Brown doesn't talk about. I don't know if she does this consciously or not, but which is compassion. Mm-hmm. And compassion is, I'm going to get down in the well and I'm going to see if I can work with you to get us out of this thing together. Mm-hmm. And that's like the most meaningful. And that's what we're trying to do when you listen sincerely to this person. So step 1, don't defend. Step 2, listen sincerely, completely, aggressively, compassionately. Step 3 is the first words that come out of your mouth are thank you. Mm-hmm. It has to be thank you. And right when you do that, you are diffusing the situation. Thank you. We're on the same page. Then you admit mistakes. If someone's dealing with a difficult person, you admit mistakes. And then finally you ask them for advice in terms of a resolution. Mm-hmm. If you do that, all of a sudden people that were at once difficult start to not be as difficult. Mm-hmm. But some people remain difficult. And that's going to happen. You're not going to change them. In that case, your environment matters too much. I would take my third piece of advice would be remove them. Cut them out of your life. Yeah. Completely. Heather's a great example of this as well. If she has a friend that complains about, so she's in a group of like moms that from the school. Yep. And if one of those moms complains about their family or their spouse, their husband a lot, she gives them like 2 more chances. And then she's like, I'm out. Mm-hmm.
Does she do it out loud, or does she just sort of quietly remove herself from
both? Yeah. I think it's not a fastened rule. Like, I'm going to tell the person this, but she'll do it. She'll do it for sure. And if the person doesn't change, it's a lot of times it's just a quiet, like, soft, mm-hmm. like little nudge, mm-hmm. Trying to steer the conversation or bring awareness to it a little bit. Not aggressive. That's one of my pieces of advice, is not to come over the top. Like, you're being difficult. Like, that's not going to help anything.
Right. Yeah.
It's kind of like, never in the history of calm downs has anyone actually ever calmed down from being told to calm down.
I thought about that recently too. Yeah. It's like the least helpful thing.
Someone's difficult. Like, you're being difficult. Yeah. Like, whoa.
Yeah.
Oh. Like,
nobody responds to that.
Yeah. That's not going to be a helpful situation. Yeah. So instead of that, you need to take it and like, work through your filtering system.
Everything you said is really 100% about what you can do in that scenario. It's not at all about how do I make this person less difficult, because that's not ultimately within your control. It's only how do I respond to this?
Yeah, it's how do you deal with a difficult person? You deal with yourself. Yeah, you deal with your self assumptions. You deal with your self hormonal responses. Mm-hmm. You deal with your own issues. That's going to make the situation more difficult. Yeah. You need to take ownership of it and spin it back onto you. It's the thing of extreme ownership. It's leadership. There's no such thing as a bad employee, only bad leaders. Mm-hmm. It's the Karate Kid. There's no such thing as bad students, just bad sensei. It's all the same stuff. It's like, just pull it back into you. How can I change the situation? And not by coming over the top and be like, you're a difficult person. Right. You're a pain in the ass, huh? Yeah. What's the problem with you today? Mm-hmm. Tactful.
Got it. All right. So that's 3 numbers every gym should, well, actually 6 numbers every gym owner should know. 3 ways to get organized, and 3 ways for you to get better at dealing with difficult people.
Rock and roll.
We'll see everybody next week. You can get every episode of Chasing Excellence wherever you listen to your podcasts or on YouTube. Until next time, thank you for listening.